here today. It's a special day for Inspiradas. Thank you.
And to have Eugenia Zicavo and Carolina Testa joining us and giving us a talk on contemporary Argentine women writers. I will introduce them. Eugenia Zicavo has a PhD in social sciences. She's a sociologist, journalist, professor and researcher at the Faculty of Social Sciences of the University of Buenos Aires, and in art and culture management in the Universidad 3 de Febrero. She is the director of the television program Bibliómanos in the public television of Argentina, author of the book Feminisms Since When and Until Then, published in 2019. She is also a cultural columnist in various media, C5N, Radio Metro, FM Nacional Rock, and editorial advisor for the magazine La Mujer de Mi Vida. Her texts can be read in national and international media such as Enie, Perfil, Tiempo Argentino, Anfibia, El Planeta Urbano, La República de Uruguay, and specialized academic journals. Her chronicle, Buenos Aires Was a Party, is part of an anthology of current Latin American chronicles edited in 2012 by Alfaguara España, also published in Argentina. Her text, My Life Palermo, is part of the book Con el Corazón en la Boca, published in 2014 by Aguilar. Her TV show Libroteca, aired on Canal de la Ciudad, received the Fan TV Pregonero, UBA, and ATBC awards. Her podcast, Pointers, Listening Book Club, is available on Spotify. Her radio show, Marcas Read, Marcar como leído, is available on Futurock FM radio and Spotify. Since 2021, she has been running the Inspiradas series, Times of Women Writers. And we also have Carolina Testa, who is the creator and coordinator of the Inspiradas initiative. She is a cultural manager. She has been involved in different community projects and initiatives to promote Latin American roots in Canada. During 2020, she created Inspiradas. Inspiradas is an initiative that promotes Latin American art, films, literature through free activities for the community. Additionally, Inspiradas has different projects with vulnerable communities around Latin America. Due to its commitment to diversity and inclusion actions, it has been summoned by the Ontario Council for International Cooperation to design the digital magazine IAM Volume 10, Reflections of the Intersectionality, Development and Change. And she has also actively collaborated with the LGBTQ community. Carolina is an experienced graphic designer who specializes in editorial design, corporate identity design, and art direction. She obtained her graphic designer degree from the University of Buenos Aires and studied editorial design at the Parsons School of Design in New York. She has the certificate Instructor Training for Inclusion and Diversity Foreign Languages Arts, BRI Bears Ritz Institute, Canada, in 2020, and she has a postgraduate degree in Cultural Management and Communication at Latin American Faculty of Social Sciences, Flaxo.
Sounds good.
So we are honored to have these two important personalities join us today. Thank you, Eugenia, for coming today. Thank you, Carolina, for coordinating this activity. And I leave you with these two important promoters of Argentine and Latin American culture. Thank you.
Thank you. In the middle of the pandemic time, when in the beginning I started to read, I said, okay, this pandemic probably will be just 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you know about that. And in October 2020, I started with the consulate small activities talking about Argentinian writers. But at the time, I never in my life I can imagine that this little stone was the beginning of amazing journey with the Latin American community here in Canada. I met Eugenia on TV because I was very fan of her. But it was a dream, you know, when you watch somebody on the TV. And at the time, I took a workshop with her, but I was very shy to talk with her. I said, okay. I took another workshop. I said, okay, this is my time. I timidly sent a message, and I say, you know what, Eugenia, I have an initiative in Canada, blah blah blah, and probably I never asked her what she thought at the time. I said, okay, yeah, I can do a talk, but again, it was a dream at the time to organize something in person for many reasons. And to be here today, for me, it's a dream. It's very emotional to be here.
For me
okay?
too.
And it was a long journey,
Yeah.
but after 6 events online, this is our first in-person event in Inspiradas. For that reason, it's very special for me. I'm really grateful for all of you to be here.
And it's good to see people and not these square things on the screen. It's so good. It's so good to see your flesh.
You cannot mute us.
It's true. No cancellations at all. And I have to give a big thank you for the consulate, of course, because they believe in this project from the beginning. I always said Inspiradas is a bunch of generosities. The people from Ahora Canada, Cuéntame un libro, Vivir LGBT, the Spanish Canadian Heritage Council, and many of friends. They share our activities, they would like that kind of things. For us, everyone, every single act is very important. It's unique for us. Thank you very much for being here. And now we are talking about Argentinian literature.
Yeah. Argentinian female writers.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is there anyone here who doesn't speak Spanish? Yes. Yes? Okay, good.
Okay.
Good try.
Well, thank you very much, Carolina. Thank you to all the people that's behind this project. And of course, for me, it was a dream. I didn't even get to dream about coming to Canada.
Nobody did that.
But when it was a possibility, I said, I would love to go. And I'm loving it. So thank you very much for making it possible. And it's also an honor to be able to be speaking about Latin American female writers, and especially in this meeting about Argentinian female writers, because there's so much going on that field nowadays. And as a reader, I didn't have a previous agenda. It's not that I started reading them because of something. I'm a big reader. I started reading their early careers, and I found there's so much pleasure because of so many reasons. There are so many aesthetics and rhythms and ways of modulating Spanish as a language that is so rich at the same time. They're kind of trying new ways, new point of views, and enlightening some aspects of quotidian life that were not in the literary representation. And that's why they are so translated, so invited to fairs all over the world. writers like Mariana Enriquez or Samantha Schweblin had won very important prizes. And they are really, for example, Mariana Enriquez was people like Nobel Prizes, like Kazuo Ishiguro says, you have to read Mariana Enriquez nowadays. Or the one I like the most was Moore, the creator of V for Vendetta. Well, he said, you should read Mariana Enriquez. Well, if he said so. And I was reading her like since 20 years ago. So let's do something with this. And let's share with you some of the important works that these female writers are doing nowadays and how they are stepping into this literary field. But mostly because these books, the books I selected for this talk, are translated in English. And that's amazing, because the circulation of Latin American and Argentinian literature always depended on Spain. It's our history, it's our colonial cultural history. That, for example, if in Buenos Aires I want to read a Uruguayan writer, we live 30 minutes if you live in Buenos Aires to the nearest point in Uruguay, you have to wait until this Uruguayan people is published in Europe, in Spain. And then this book from Spain, printed in Spain, comes to Buenos Aires. The same with Chile, the same with Paraguay, the same with Bolivia, the same with that. This is starting to change, mostly because of the work of the small publishing houses, which are talking about them and bringing themselves the actual books in order to be ready and circulate. And it's accompanying a movement, and it's reaching new readers. And I hope you are among them, because I guess you'll be happier, which is the aim of art and especially literature. And there's another aspect about literature, this a practice that it's a solitary practice to read. And it doesn't happen the same thing that with other arts, like you have to go and see Barbie, or did you see the end of Game of Thrones? You probably did. And at the time these series were on air, you can have this conversation with a fan. With literature, it's not that easy, because there are so many agendas and so much to read. So this thing that Carolina made with Inspiradas, it's a lot of things, but among them, it's a community of readers. And we can share the same books, we can talk about them, we can discuss about it. We can, it happened to me in these 6 events that some people said, oh, you didn't read this? You should, because it talks about similar things, or this subject that you're interested in. Well, you see it in this author, but it's also in this and this. And that's the kind of thing I love the most. So, thank you very much. Who do we start?
And another thing, talking about the start, and always we said in Inspiradas, we are not very democratic in Inspiradas, because we are talking about only the writers that really love it. The other ones, we don't talk.
No,
oh, some of them.
Writers that I love, they are not included, right? Because really it's like a seminar.
Probably we can start with Samantha Schweblin if you want.
Of course, we can start with Samantha Schweblin. Samantha Schweblin is the author of, well, I have these, the names of the book translated, and it was kind of fun, because it never matches the original title. I don't know what happens with the translators. But for example, Distancia de Rescate, which should be Distance of Rescue, it's fever dream in English, so keep that in mind. And it changes a lot, the sense of the word. Because Distancia de Rescate, Distance of Rescue, it's a term that Samantha Schweblin invented to talk about something that was in the imaginary, but no one before named it this way. There is the distance you keep from any kid, but especially your kids, not to get hurt. Like, how far can you be before they jump into a pool or they fell into the pool? How is that distance that you always keep? And that's something that she invented that appears in another, it appears in Desierto Sonoro of Valeria Luiselli, the term. And she gives her the credit, like, she invented something. It's so weird that it's not the title. But either way, talking about Fever Dream.
Yeah. Can you repeat the title?
Yeah, it's Fever Dream.
Or
Or
What is it in Spanish?
Distancia de Rescate.
Ah, distancia de rescate. Oh, okay.
Can you believe that? Fever Dream. That's what I'm talking about. The screaming. Right. Well, Fever Dream, it's her first novel. She was a writer of short stories.
Our short stories.
Powerful short
Powerful,
stories.
powerful short stories.
She studied with a very well-known Argentinian writer, Liliana Hecker. She showed this taller thing that we do in Argentina that is also a tradition, these literary workshops with an older writer. And this is the first novel she wrote, and she also has this amazing book story that is called Seven Empty Houses, and that won the National Book Award in the States. So it was a big thing. And every year, Samantha Schweblin is shortlisted in the Booker's Prize. But until now, she never got it. But it's like a joke. Come on, give that award to her. She deserves it. This time. Give them to her. Well, Fever Dream. Fever Dream, this first novel of Samantha Schweblin, it's a story, it's very particular what she does, because you can read the same story in two different keys, and it resists the realistic point of view, and it also resists a fantastic point of view. It depends on what you choose as a reader, what it's going to become as a story. Because if you know some aspects of Argentinian reality, for example, Monsanto seeds that contaminates water and the soil and what it does to the populations that lives among this area where these things grow, it causes malformations in kids, it causes lots of different illnesses. But you have to know this in advance, because if you read the book, you just, and without knowing it, you may think it's a fantastic thing. Why this thing, there's these little kids walking with malformities or something. Well, it's not, it could be because of something else, or it could be, sorry?
Oh, thank you.
No, it's not gonna be, it's just for TV. It's not gonna be out loud. You? It's the illusion of sound. Yeah, it works. And it's so amazing what she does, because my experience, my first read of a novel, it was in a realistic way and then in a fantastic way, and it resists both.
What is the last name? I don't know.
Samantha Schweblin. Schweblin.
Anyway, when we finish the event, and tomorrow we'll send a PDF with the whole detailed reference, everything.
She writes fantastic stories, but her contract of reading, it's so challenging in a way. So that is what impressed me most about the way she writes. And well, she's an awesome storyteller.
That is fantastic. And plus now in Canada we can watch Fever Dream or Distancia de Rescate on Netflix, by the way.
Oh, because it has an amazing, yeah, and it's a good one. It's a very good film. Yeah.
And she participated on the
script.
Script, yes.
the same name?
Yes,
Uh,
Distancia Cercana.
yeah.
Great. Well, Samantha Schweblin, definitely. A name to just put a pin on that, for sure. And the other that I already named is Mariana Enriquez. She's
our rock star.
She's our literary rock star. She now she's doing shows on theaters, and with sold out theaters. It's really it doesn't get any rocky start for a writer, at least in Argentina. She's the writer of The Things We Lost on Fire, which is a collection of short stories, and The Dangers of Reading in Bed, and the novel Our Share of Night, which has an amazing fandom. If you follow her on Instagram, you'll see all this fan art that readers around the whole world send to her. It's a horror story. It's a more classical horror story that tells the story of a cult, a weird cult of rich people that are in the search for eternal life with very questionable methods that involves torturing children and doing stuff that you would never imagine. It has very powerful images, like the good horror story that makes you the creeps, gives you the creeps, but also she plays with our Latin America background and Argentinian background, especially with these years of state terrorism from 1976 to 1953, 83. We had a terrible period in Argentina with a dictatorship, and we had more than 30,000 disappeared people. And she plays with this horror of state and the horror, the classic story of horror, and the disappearances that are classic in the horror stories also, but well, are an aspect of this particular dictatorship, criminal dictatorship we had. And the same thing she does in a short story that I really like, that it's called El Carrito, which is the stroller, the
little stroller.
Little stroller. That plays with something that is very Argentinian, and it's the fear of Argentinian middle class. What's the fear of the Argentinian middle class? Argentinian people here. What do you fear the most? Poverty, of course it is. So what is the big fear? Let's put it on paper. And this short story tells the story of a guy who is a homeless guy and arrives with this little stroller to a neighborhood, and all the neighbors treat him very poorly and treat him bad, and he sells this maleficent, is that what you say, like a spell, like a classic horror story spell. And what happens to this neighbor, except for a lady that treats him really good, except from that house, the whole neighbor start, like, one loses his savings and the other it's that she plays with our most internal horrors, social horrors also, that she does very well. And it's weird that she's so understood outside Argentina, because I think she has very local things in her way of expressing horrors and the way of interpreting these social horrors and transforming into classical horror stories. Well, she's amazing. She's great.
We love her.
Yeah, and she has a new book that I haven't read yet.
Because they written in Chile.
Yeah, she was published first
in
Chile, first in Argentina. That it's about the band Sweat. I know she's a very big fan of that band, and it's about fandom and fanatism. That it's a subject that she's very interested into. And so we have a new reading to do about Maria Enriquez. But if you didn't read anything about her, I would start with the short stories of the dangers of smoking in bed. Because if you like the environment and the use of language and the tone and what she creates, the atmosphere, well, if you like it, just you can jump into Our Share of Night because it's a very big novel and it's not that easy to get into it, the first pages. So if you know her in advance, you're gonna trust her and you're gonna keep going and you're gonna be very disturbed, but very happy, but very disturbed. It comes with a parental advisory, like do it in your homes, but
be careful.
Be careful.
At
your own risk.
Read during the day.
No, because it's horror stories. It's nice to be frightened by words. That's amazing. Like with this screen culture that we to be frightened or challenged or by words on a paper that still works. Good for us.
Absolutely. How about Gabriela Cabezón Cámara?
Gabriela Cabezón Cámara, let's talk about her. She was with Samantha Schweblin. We were together in the International Book Fair of New York last week. So I was able to talk to her. She also has a new novel. I'm very lucky. I'm a lucky girl. I live in the same city of all of them, except from Samantha. I'm a neighbor with Maria Enriquez. We live at 5 blocks. The neighbor that appears in the novel, it's the same neighbor, Gabriela Cabezón Cámara invented a language, mixing references to pop culture and to la gauchesca, which is something that I think I can translate, which is a genre, a literary genre, very in the foundation of the Argentine literature. And she manages very well to go in these 2 levels of, or at least 2 levels of the language, of something very high, like very educated university language, very with lots of knowledges, and then this word that is used on the streets, like the word slang, and in the middle, the gauchesca, and in the middle, playing with, so many references in their texts. There's a text I love from her that it's called, and it's a very hard text to read. It's called Bella. I'm gonna say, well, it's called You've Seen God's Face, which is it's called Bella, le viste la cara a Dios. So it could be pretty, you've seen God's face. And it's a terrible story about a girl who's a victim of trata. How do you say trata? Trata de personas. Human traffic. It's a victim of human. Thank you. She's a victim of human traffic. She's kidnapped in the middle of the street, and she ended up in a whorehouse doing sex work against her will. And it's the first time I thought about that situation as a way of torture, of constant torture, like the clandestine sites of torture that we had before in dictatorships. It's a parallel of these underground places with victims of human traffic. And she says it in verse. She tells it in verse. It rhymes. And it also goes with, it's a graphic novel. It was published as a text in Spain first, and then it was published in Argentina as a graphic novel. And it works so well. If you can find the English version of the graphic novel, I guess it's even better. And she plays with references to Kill Bill because she's finding, all the way she's trying to figure out how to get out of and what she has to stand during that time. And it's a horrifying story of a very real reality, if that exists. And she does it marvelous. And there's another story, which is the other, which is translated, which is how it's called, The Adventures of China Iron, Las Aventuras de la China Iron. When I heard that this particular work of Gabriela Cabezón Cámara was translated, I said, what? Like, how anyone that hasn't read the Martín Fierro, El Martín Fierro, it's a foundating book for Argentinian literature that has to be with el género de la gauchesca. And this is the story of the woman of Martín Fierro, his wife, that nothing is said about her, except that she was abandoned with 2 kids because they took Martín Fierro away. But we don't know anything about her. So she invented the story of Martín Fierro's wife. And she invented a lesbian story of Martín Fierro's wife, which is amazing. And it's a road novel in a way, because she's picked up by a very sophisticated English lady that take her with her, and they have a romance and this love and sex story. And it's about colonialism. It's about
a lot of things.
So many things. And it invents a language that it's something to do. Yeah.
Regarding the previous title,
The previous.
you said it's hard to read. Is it because of the language or the content that it's very hard?
The content is very hard.
It's not that it's difficult to read.
No, it's not difficult to read at all. No. And it's in verse. So that helps in a way and makes you, the atmosphere that it creates gives you some relief as a reader. I saw on the...
It's true.
It's true,
yeah,
right?
It's true. I never thought about it, but it's true.
Gives you some relief, because if not, reading that and that.
Yeah.
I saw an adaptation to theater of that, a play based on that text, and it was hard to listen. Like with the girl on stage telling those things, it was in verse, but it was there, it was on stage. It was harder, that experience. And so it's Gabriela Cabezón Cámara. The English title is You've Seen God's Face and The Adventures of China Iron. Yep. I'll drink some water.
Good.
What do you want to talk about?
I am a big fan of Camila Sosa Villada.
Oh, I'm a big fan too.
I really love her. All of her books, all of her work.
She's a thing.
She's
quite a thing. Camila Sosa Villada is the author of Las Malas. Here it was translated as Bad Girls, which is accurate, but not that much, because it has to be the bads, because it's not bad girls. It's not Las Chicas Malas. It's Las Malas. And as the protagonist, it's a trans lady. It's not the same to be a chick or not to be a chick. So it's not, well, I have my things with the translators of the titles of Argentinian literature around the world. But maybe it's me. They know what they do. Bad Girls, it's a story about a trans person living in Córdoba, the Argentinian province, and it goes to this underworld in a way of sex work and this kind of family they form amongst the sex workers, the trans sex workers, and it just goes a little into some magical, how is the name? Realismo mágico, magic realism, because some of the women have feathers or growing, or there are some slight things that make you read it not in such a realistic view. And she recovers some slang of the street and some reality that was out of literary representation. We don't have many trans authors, and we know very little about their lives. And Camila Sosa Villada, what she's doing is giving their characters lots of lives, because this was Las Malas that was the biggest hit, the first hit. But then in his short story book, she also tells another trans stories that hasn't had to do with sex work or another stories. And that's so cool. The last, which is not translated yet because it came out last month, it's about a very well-known actress, trans actress, that she's a success, and she gets in love with a boy that's originally gay, but they still get in love. And they raise a kid, and so they have the family problems of any family. It's amazing because it starts with this like very different thing that ends up being as human as it is. So it's very interesting what she does with this representation that I think it was something that we were missing. So it's great. It's great to recover it. And with the voice, that literary voice, because it's not only a matter of themes, or it's a matter of how you treat words. And Camila Sosa Villada also thinks the literature, and she's also a performer. She's an actress. If you enter her Instagram account, she recites poems, and she knows about music and about jazz. And well, the other book that it's translated actually, it's I'm a Fool to Want You, which is the name of the song. And she has another book that thinks about the act of writing. So she's an intellectual. She's like lots of things.
And plus, she's very pretty.
Yeah, she's very pretty too. Yeah. So Camila Sosa Villada, it's a big thing going on in Argentina nowadays, and she's also translated into many languages. She's a worldwide success. And then we have a lot of girls.
No, we're
okay,
good.
We're good. Well, we have, who do you choose? Agustina Bastarrica. It's Agustina Bastarrica. Agustina Bastarrica was a Clarín Prize. Clarín is a newspaper from Argentina that has a tradition of giving literary prizes. And she won with a novel which is called Cadáver Exquisito. This play word, it's also missed in the translation because it's Tender is the Flesh, which is a creepy novel. This is a novel that don't leave you the same. It's very disturbing because it's a dystopia. It's a world in which animals have become dangerous, poison to people. So it's like the whole world turned into vegetarianism by force. But after a few years, the poor people in societies around the world start to disappear because cannibalism starts, because people still want to eat meat no matter what. So the consensus worldwide is that the countries start growing people for human consumption. And as if the border between humanity and animality was the language, when they are born, the vocal cords are cut. 4-star. So it situates
With a
you
camera,
in,
you know.
as you know, well, or you are discovering right now, I don't like the literature that keeps me in a safe place. I like to
We can
read
see that.
things.
Don't worry.
I like to be thrilled. I like to be. I like to feel awkward. I like to feel uncomfortable reading. I don't like to feel in my comfy zone. I don't want to be comfy reading. Sometimes I want, but most of the times I want to be thrilled. And I think that there's something shared among these writers, that they don't give you the peace that you are maybe expecting, but they challenge you as a reader because of the plots of their stories, but also because of the use of Spanish, because of the use of the language, because of the style, because of the construction, the literary construction of environments, of a tone. And this tone is very disturbing. At first, I compared it with The Road, the Cormac McCarthy's novel from the States, The Road, which is the atmosphere is something like that. That also has cannibalism and stuff. But at the same time, it has something really local in this dystopia. You're gonna listen from her really in a short time, because the rights for making a series are already sold. So, and it's gonna be a big production stuff. So, Tender is the Flesh is gonna be out there in cinemas soon. And she has a new book that I've read just before coming here, and it's also a novel and also very disturbing. Las Indignas.
Yeah, by the way, Eugenia has in Spotify, Marcar como leído, and has an interview with Agustina Basterrica talking about this.
Yeah,
you can find it. I included in the PDF.
You can search it in your
because it's a nice,
Spotify.
Very nice interview with her.
Thank you.
I love
She's great. She's amazing. And Tender is the Flesh. It's been read around public schools in Argentina a lot, and it's very interesting to see the works of students and what happens with this book. And they make new covers, and well, it's interesting. Even documentaries and short films. It generated a lot. It's Cadáver Exquisito. Cadáver Exquisito. Yeah. Because she plays...
Yummy, yummy cadáver.
Yeah. Tú también serás tirita. Tender is the flesh. But we lost, in this translation, we lost the play that exists with Cadáver Exquisito, which is this literary practice of avant-garde. Okay. You write a sentence and another one writes a sentence without seeing what the other wrote. Right, so you fold the thing, and at the end it comes the text.
How did it come up with the title?
How did it?
Yes, does it make sense? I mean,
Cadáver Exquisito? Yes. Oh, that's avant-garde. You said, I don't know. The ones that invented it, you have to read it. Yeah. You have to read it.
My friend here said the title sounded very romantic.
Oh, imagine if you buy it as a romantic novel, like you want. But the cover.
Don't buy the books, but for the title or the cover.
Luckily, all the covers I've seen that they were made around the world are creepy enough. Are creepy enough to let you know. Yeah.
There's some clues.
There are some clues. Well, there's a very it's one of the 3 most translated authors, women, men, all of them, of the last 10 years, which is Claudia Piñeiro. Claudia Piñeiro, the author of The Widows of Thursday. How is it?
Thursday night.
Thursday Night Widows. Las Vidas de los Jueves. That also won the Clarín Prize at the time.
We have movies, series.
Yeah, she's
everything.
a lot of things because she's also she writes theater plays and
series.
television series, and well, almost most of her books are in the big screen. Well, and she has some. My favorite book of her it's Elena Sabe, which is Elena Knows. That it's in English, and also A Little Luck, which is a later title from her. Elena Knows was before the feminist movement and the conquest of the right to stop pregnancy, the right of abortion in Argentina, which she is a very she's an activist. She was an activist, a very active person in this right that we finally got. She wrote this novel, Elena Sabe, about a woman that was forced to be a mother without wanting, because she couldn't get an abortion at the time. And she tells her
it's creepy.
It is creepy. It's the coming back on the right. They are coming for us. Look what happened in the States. Yeah, a Canadian author, Margaret Atwood, said about this thing of the right of abortion that is coming forward. Make fiction fiction again. I will sign to that, like, make fiction fiction again. But well, she was, it was the first time that I read, it was 10 years ago, the first published of Elena Knows, of what can happen with life, not only of this woman's life, but of his daughter's life, because it's someone who wasn't wanted. It's an unwanted daughter that lives with that mom. And what happened with that relation. And the first time I read when motherhood went wrong and these things that were not told, like it's supposed to be always this tender relation and loving circle of life. Well, sometimes it's not. And what happens when it doesn't happen, when it's supposed to happen? And also it talks about illness, because the protagonist, it's an old lady who has what is the disease that it has, how do you say it in English?
Right.
La enfermedad que tiene Elena.
No acuerdo.
Parkinson, it says.
Parkinson?
Okay. And so she has to take a pill, a medicine, in order to walk and to find something. And in this path that she supposes that she's going to find something, she finds something else. And it's how illness can change people also, and how pain can change people, and how can change the person who these people is dependent on, which is the daughter in this case. It's very complex. It's a very complex story that underlines lots of subjects, important subjects, and it's written in a way, the music, how it sounds, this is a repetitive thing, a tone that it's
the rhythm.
Really the rhythm. The rhythm, it's very particular, and it makes you walk with this lady that has problems walking, and it makes you feel something by words, physically.
Yeah, physically. Yeah,
makes you feel things. So if you didn't read any of her, I would start from there.
Elena Knows.
Elena Knows. You know, Elena Knows. Las Vidas de los Jueves. Well, it was her first novel, but it's easy to read. It shows a period of time in Argentina which is very precise, was the
90s.
the 90s, and situation. I know that when she worked with some translators, they asked her why she was talking about private cemeteries and what was a private cemetery, and she tried to explain the difference between social classes in Argentina. One of the things that upper classes do were bury their people in private places, which doesn't exist at all in private places. No? It doesn't exist at all in many countries. So with the translation, that was a problem, for example. And the same with these los countries, what we call countries, which are
So
close neighbors
neighbors.
that exist, but the way that they exist in Argentina and the things that they ask you to enter these places, that a lot of social closures, it's something very specific of a time, of a culture, of the way of living of some upper class, of the fears of this upper class that make them live this way.
And the
I
way
love that novel. It's something else because it's a genre. It's policial.
Mhm.
How do you say
Oh.
that? Policial genre. Crime. It's a crime novel, and it's very like the structure
From
of
the
a
beginning.
crime novel from the beginning. No, I'm talking about Las Viudas de los Jueves. No, because they made a series, but lots of years later, and they made a film which changed the ending of the novel.
Yeah,
Which-
and now here, yeah, it's true. The Thursday night, the Viuda de los Jueves, is a Mexican series. It's pretty new.
But it's based on Claudia's book?
Yes.
Okay.
It's no, 2022, something like
Okay.
that. No, it's absolutely not.
It's absolutely not.
So sorry.
Oh, but it's tempting to see an adaptation from Mexico.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do that.
It's Mexico, yes, absolutely. Yeah, but it's weird for me, watch in a Mexican society because we have a specific little thing, particularly in the countries, the close neighborhood. It's different when it's in Mexico and Argentina. It's different, but you can watch it if you have some free time.
Or not.
Perhaps they called gated communities.
Yeah,
Though even a gated community here wouldn't go to the extreme
exactly.
that those country places go in terms of having everything at such a high level
Yeah, it's
with
true.
golf courses.
Absolutely, it's true.
It is.
Good. How about Selva Almada? Because we have a few more minutes, but I want to talk about 3 more.
Oh, you want to what? Yeah, I can talk all the time.
Just a little bit, but
Okay. I thought it was 7. I think I was over time. Selva Almada. Let's talk about Selva Almada. Selva Almada, it's the author of El Viento que Arrasa. I don't know. I guess I don't have the. Let me see if I have the translation.
the Selva Almada?
Yeah,
the wind- the
here
wind
it
that
is.
lays-
The wind that lays waste. It's nice the way it speaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The film was called Ravaging Wind.
Yeah. With Paula Hernandez.
Yeah, because Paula Hernandez made the Argentinian film director. She made an adaptation of Selva Almada book.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's projected on the teeth, right?
Yes.
So you can see the copy. Pretty easy.
We have to ask Vanessa always. Vanessa knows.
Here at Deep, and then it went to San Sebastian and Biarritz, and it's starting its recorrido.
Okay, but are you gonna have another screening here in Canada?
It was premiered at TIFF, but it's not yet.
In the Market Festival.
Yes, but it will probably be released later in the year.
Yeah, usually.
Cool. And well, she also has another novel, Brickmakers, and a book that maybe it's not that known about her, that it's Dead Girls. And Dead Girls, it's based on three feminicides that happened in Argentina in the late 80s and 90s. And it's a reflection, it's more like a chronic, but it has these resources of fiction, of course. It could be these literary chronics that Silva Almada thinks about her own youth and the risks she took without knowing that there were risks, and the impact that these three cases that happened in the area that she lived impacted her at the time. And for example, I remember a scene that she goes with a friend hijacking, and later they know that one of the girls that was killed was hijacking too. And these very little opportunities that people that live in small places or small populations have, and you have to go out. Some day you want to go out and you have to go out, and if you don't have the media, you have to take risks. And what are the risks that men have to take, and what are the risks that women have to take if they want to go out? Because sooner or later they are going to go out, and even if you know there are risks out there, you're going to go out. So it makes you think about these different realities among women and men when they want to go out, not only from small town, but in general, if you want to express as reality in other things. It's very interesting, that book of Silva Almada. And
it's my favorite one.
Is it your favorite one? Well, it's not a thing. It's not a thing.
I really enjoyed that book. Yeah,
And
I read twice. I don't know why, but I really.
It's good. It's good.
Very good.
And it's not. I don't know why people don't talk more about that books.
Know.
But I found it. I mean, it is in English, so it's cool. And then there's
Brickmakers.
Yeah, brickmakers that.
Or ladrilleros in Spanish.
Yeah, talks about this reality, this very masculine reality in some small towns of Argentina, rural town. She captures very well this rural atmosphere and the difference between the city and the rural places, and the little lives, these aspects of small lives that show bigger things. And in this case, there's a gay love between two men in a very machista world.
Everybody understands machista.
They understand machista. They understand machismo everywhere. And it's also a thing, if we think about representation in literature, that story, it's never been pictured before. And it also captures some slang, some way of speaking of the rural classes. It's very interesting.
And provincial.
Yeah.
Because she used some words, particularly for the region on littoral.
It's very situated. I don't know how they deal with it with translations. Because for us, it's very different as people living in Buenos Aires, for example. It's another use of Spanish. Because we have so many Spanishes at home and in the whole continent. And I would love to say something about Belén López Peiró, maybe?
Yes, please.
About why did you return? Okay. About why did you return last summer? Every summer.
Every summer.
And she's a younger writer. She's in her 30s now. And this is true-based story about her own life. She was a victim of sex abuse by her uncle, who was a member of the police forces. in a town, a rural town, to which he went every summer when their parents leave them with their aunt and uncle and leave there for vacation. And the title comes from something that the law, when she denounced this guy for the sexual abuse, when she finally could talk and make this and go to justice, what justice told her was, "And why did you return every summer? ¿Por qué volvías cada verano? ¿Por qué volvías cada verano?" And with that in mind, she worked in the workshop of Gabriela Cabezón Cámara.
Oh,
I didn't know that. It's the first time I tell you this. I can still amaze you, Carolina. I can still surprise you. With this in mind, what the justice has told her, she incorporates in the book the law. How do you say that? Los oficios legales. You can read like the law and the responses to that from the law. So it's such different use of the language. Imagine, like, I was abused every summer, and what the justice says, what with their terms, that makes everything like aseptic and without the strength that has in the actual words.
The light version.
It's not like it's this bureaucratic talk. Bureaucratic. It's a bureaucratic talk about something that impacted very much in a person, but it's treated as it's an expediente. Dehumanized, of course. Exactly. And also you can see who the justice gave voice to, because one of the people who is interviewed by the judge, it's a previous boyfriend of her. It's like, what does it has nothing to do with anything. I mean, she was an underage. She was denouncing sexual assault. What does it matter what his ex-boyfriend thinks about the thing? But it's there because the justice gives him voice. So it's very interesting, the voices of this book, and the voice of the aunt that allegedly didn't know, but it's quite hard to believe that she didn't know a thing about this situation, and the family rumors and the family secrets and the towns, because he was a comisario. It's not a regular policeman. It's like someone, chief police of his place. And when she talked, everyone said, "Well, why? Why are you even talking? It just happened." It just happened. The good news is that because of this thing, we knew the actual case. We never knew the actual name of the aggressor until this year that he was convicted. Yeah. So we knew the name of the guy. Yeah. And literature had to do something with this. So it's a happy ending.
It's not just words.
It's not just words. Look, the performative power of language, it does exist after all. It's a very powerful story, but not because of, again, I don't talk about books just because of the plot or because of the theme. It's because of the way they resolve it in literary terms. It's the way they make you think, again, just because of the way they say things they say. They make you rethink reality. They give you some new perspective. They make things with words.
Yeah, and the day he was convicted, Belen did a video or live in Instagram, very powerful.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay, very good, very good. It was very emotional because, I don't know, probably 2 months ago, I was just read the book and And after that, I saw her talking about this. It was pretty emotional.
Yeah, must be.
Yep.
And talking about the powerful of words, I'm going to introduce to you to the last of the Argentinian writers that I really love. She's called Fernanda Garcia Lao. She's now living in Spain. She was exiled because of his parents during her youth in Spain, and well, she lived 20 years in Argentina and now returned. And she invented a style, a language, a way of putting words together. There are words that they are only used by Fernanda Garcia Lao. She has an amazing first novel called Muerta de Hambre. Let's see how they title it. I don't know if it's even translated. The one which is translated, it's Out of the Cage, que es Fuera de la Jaula. She has this very powerful imaginary of a strong woman with strong thoughts that most of the times hate the world. So she has a very powerful humor and a use of irony, and the way she matches words, it's irony itself. Like, this thing doesn't go with this other, but it matches just in Fernanda Garcia Lao literatures. This first novel, I love all her work. She's also a poet. She also has short stories. The short stories are called Cómo usar un cuchillo. And this Muerta de Hambre, her first novel, but it sets a style that she's going to continue in her later work. It's a powerful monologue of a fat girl that she's so bullied, and she has two stepsisters, which are quite the opposite, like the hegemonic frame of beauty. And it's this outrageous way of looking at the whole world from this perspective, this anger, this passion, this desire, all the things that happen in that body that society doesn't accept. And in Out of the Cage, she does something weird too, because she makes a ghost talk, like to see the life and talk about this fantasy about if you see yourself after death, what would you do? Well, she comes up with a couple of things that I won't get into the spoiler zone. But I think you should read her, any of her work, because the way she tells anything she tells, it's so generous, it's so bright, it's so intelligent, it's a powerful writer.
And the way how she view little things, particularly, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's so weird to be talking about these Argentinian writers in English, but I hope it serves to open this, to arrive to new publics and open markets, and helps the circulation of these works. Something really interesting is happening in literature written by women in Argentina, also by men. I also read Argentinian men, don't think I don't. But you have to short somewhere, and something very interesting is happening in those narratives. Not only in an academic thing. Today I was asked if I can label them into some sort of movement. Not yet, but they all write so well, and that should be enough as a label, right? And with this, I say goodbye. Thank you very much. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Carolina. I'm here in Toronto. What were the odds? I mean, it was so unexpected. Thank you very much.
I don't know if I have a few questions. We have a few minutes. Yep, yep.
I've been nagging people with this question.
Oh, it's okay.
But I think you kind of answered it before I asked. Because I was thinking, could there be a name for this group of women? Like if you mentioned this movement, but it hasn't been named yet.
No, but that's
Because
the work
not
of.
just the Argentinians, but Gina Meruane, Peggy Rossi, these women who came out and began to write all these things. This is a movement of, I don't know how to qualify it, but it's
Powerful.
something.
Powerful. Well, we are talking about actual writers that are writing at this time. That happens later, like when someone analyzed, like in history of literature, maybe they will be labeled. But as any label, it's just a label, right?
Eugenia, what is your opinion about Florencia Bonelli?
I didn't read her.
No?
No, because I know what she writes about, and I'm not interested in historical romantic novels of 1,000 pages. No, I haven't read her. But she is a literary phenomenon.
Yeah,
A very huge literary phenomenon. Yeah.
Romantic.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I had to give a little announce. And with Canada Habla Español is an organization to promote the Spanish, to preserve our language here in Canada. And we, 5 of the city, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, and Regina, we got the proclamation, April 23rd, as the Spanish Language Day. It was a huge step for us. But now we are powerful too, and we try to get the federal proclamation in Canada for the Spanish Day, the Spanish Language Day. Please sign the petition. It's on the media, on the social media. Sign the petition because it's very important for our community, for the visibilization, for many things. We need every single sign. Yes, I send today, tonight, or tomorrow. We'll send the whole information about today. The writers today. The last day is October the 11th. Thank you, Norma. It's true, and because it's very important for us, this, and particularly we are in the month, in Spanish month, celebrating our culture, our roots. Thank you very, very much, everyone, to be here. It's an honor, it's a pleasure, and it's a dream. Thank you.